Welcome to this tutorial on MySQL with Visual Basic .NET 2013. We are about to connect our MySQL server with Visual Basic so that you can build application with MySQL database and Visual Basic .NET 2013. Software requirements, you need some softwares. First of all, the MySQL server for Windows or any other installation of MySQL server will go like I have WAMP installed. MySQL.NET connector, this is the medium between the MySQL server and the Visual Basic .NET. It's required. And MySQL GUI, I'll suggest MySQL Workbench, which is free for MySQL, but anything else will go. Visual Basic .NET, finally, you need the version 2008, 10 or 13 to go with this tutorial. Okay, you need to have your concept on working with MySQL, like creating database tables and queries like insert, select, update, delete. I will not be explaining those. Working with Visual Studio, you need to know how to create projects, forms and elements, and basic coding of Visual Basic .NET. Okay, there's a link to download the MySQL server. If you don't have any MySQL installed in your computer, you can go to http://dev.mysql.com/download/mysql and download your preferred version. Okay, MySQL.NET connector, it's required, and you have to download it from http://dev.mysql.com download/connector/net, and you will download the connector from here. MySQL GUI, MySQL Workbench here I'm preferring, and there's a link https://dev.mysql.com/download/workbench, and you can download your preferred version for 32-bit or 62-bit, 64-bit, sorry. Okay, let's start the tutorial. Installing the software. This video will show you how to install the required software first. Okay, so let's start by installing the MySQL server. It's the older version that I have, but it's all the same. I have MySQL 5.5.25a win32.amsi. So double click on it. Okay, next. Accept the license agreement. Next. Complete. Install. But if you want to see where it is getting installed, you can select custom, then you see it's installing in C program files, MySQL server 5.5. Go back, select complete, install. It's getting installed. Next. Launch the MySQL instance configuration wizard. Finish. Okay, the MySQL configuration wizard is here. Next. Detailed configuration, developer machine, it's a multifunctional database, and where DB table space settings, it's in wherever it is it's in my C drive, and I have 38.7 gigabyte of disk space, so I'm not worrying about it. But if you are going low in your C drive, then select some other drive. Okay, next. It's asking for how many concurrent connections do you want to allow. It's here 15, so I'll go for it. Manual settings 15. Next. Enable TCP IP networking. Alright, port number 3306. You really don't have to change this or change anything else here, but I have my WAMP installed where the MySQL server is already running on 3306, so I will change it to something else like 33010. Next. Standard character set, base support for multilingualism, so I'll select it. Install as Windows services, service name MySQL, launch the MySQL server automatically. Okay, cool, but I don't want this. But if you are working MySQL very frequently, then you should have this checked. Okay, include bin directory in Windows path. Obviously, it's always helpful to have your exist running from CMD, so I will check it. Next, modify security setting for new root password. We know that MySQL databases have a root user by default, so it's asking for the password of the root user. So I'm giving a password DEMO, which is demo, DEMO. Well, uh, enable root access from remote machines. If you are really not were setting up a MySQL server for using throughout a network, then you are really not in need to check this. Just leave it. Next. Okay, we're done. Finish. Okay, so that's how you install your MySQL server. Okay, now let's install the MySQL connector for .NET. That's what we have downloaded. So it's asking for permission to go ahead. Next. Okay, so just click on complete as we want MySQL connector for .NET to be installed with all features. So we are clicking on complete and then install. Finish. Okay, now I start installing the MySQL Workbench community. uh, you really don't have to install this Workbench uh, GUI for MySQL. If you are having some other uh, way to access your server already, like phpMyAdmin info from WAMP or SQLeog or some other GUIs already available like MySQL Query Browser that I also have downloaded, but this time I will install MySQL Workbench community. Next, it will be installed on C program files MySQL Workbench 6.3 CE. uh, I'm not worrying about much here, just installing it completely. Okay, so it's done and saying that we are going to launch MySQL Workbench now, but I don't want it now. So finish. So we have installed the three Recur software: MySQL Server, MySQL Connector, MySQL Workbench, where two of these three among these three are optional. If you have WAMP install or any other type of installation of MySQL Server, then you don't need to install MySQL Server again. Even if you do, there's nothing wrong about it anyway. And then you need the MySQL connector.NET. That is mandatory because that will be the media between Visual Basic .NET and the MySQL server. And then the MySQL GUI MySQL Workbench Community Edition, but it's not also required if you have some other GUI already installed or PHP might be any other media that you can get into to work on MySQL server. Creating database. So we have our software installed. Let's create the database and tables that we need to work on for this tutorial purpose. Okay, so now let's create the database for our test purpose. This is the interface of the MySQL Workbench that we installed earlier. I have two instances of one MySQL running. The one we will use is the port number 3310 that we installed earlier. Okay, it's asking for the password demo. Okay. Okay, so let's create the database. Here database are called schema. Okay, new schema. Our schema name is db underscore mysql, and the collation would be utf-8 unicode ci. Click on apply, apply, finish. Okay, so now we have the schema, which is actually the database. Here, open it. table, right click, create a table. Okay, our table name is underscore users, and everything else leave them. Create column, double click u underscore id of the type big int, and it should be primary key, not null, and also AI, which stands for auto increment. Anyway, u underscore first name text, u underscore last name as text, and then we don't want to use that one, the last one, so we will delete selected. So after that, apply. Okay, we now have our table here. You can see we have it. So this is our table. To see in record is there? Nope. So that's how we just created the schema and the uh, table. So that's it. Now we'll go to coding at vb.net in Visual Studio. Okay, so we have our softwares and our database created. Let's start coding in Visual Studio.net 2013. Okay, so open up your Visual Studio. I have my one already opened. We are going to create a new project, which is Windows Desktop, Windows Forms application. I'm not giving it a name, but you should, and save it in the exact location you want. Okay, so it's in a sort of a space, I guess, but I can't help it. I also don't have much space on my screen left. Okay, I will manage it in within. Okay, so I would like to put a group box, two group box actually. Okay, name it insert data, and click, okay, copy paste, which should be another one, which is select data. Okay, now I need a few labels and buttons. Okay, another one possibly. Okay, I need a button to save. uh, Save. Then I need text boxes. Where is text box? There it is. Okay, out of the space I guess. Okay. I'm giving it a name, txt first name, and copy paste it, copy paste. Okay, txt last name. Later, just for a while, label these things. Last name, first name, save. This is back. Another button that we need, we'll use this to get. Okay, I need a list box where I will show all the users. Okay, okay, so it is Currently my application MySQL with VB.NET. Okay, I want this application to be start at the center of the screen. Okay, so let's see if it is running or not. I'm debugging the application and it's running. Okay, thank you. Okay, the first thing first, we have our .NET connector installed, and what we have to do is we have to connect this project with the .NET connector. We'll do this by going to the project menu and adding a reference. The reference is obviously there where you install the MySQL connector. I have already added it, but if you just, what you have to do is you just go to browse and then browse it, and then go to where you have installed your MySQL, which is generally C program files, MySQL, MySQL connector net 6.5.4, then assemblies v 2.0. Let me get it again for you. MySQL program files, MySQL connector assemblies v2, and you have the mysql.data.dll. You just have to add this, and I already have it here. So I have selected this and clicking OK. So reference to that DLL is now I have, so I can use. Let's go and code the thing out. Okay, view code. First of all, very first of all, I have to import mysql dot data dot mysql client. Okay, so now I'm declaring some variable that I can use through the other functions. dbcon as new mysql connection. Okay, okay, this is the connection variable. Then I'm declaring another which is just a string as string, nothing else. Public dbcom as new mysql command. Okay, then public db read as new mysql um, data data reader. Okay, so I'm done, I guess. uh, I don't know what is this. It's not accessible in this context or what. Nothing to worry about. Okay, so when the form will be loading, actually I would like to write some code which is very simple. I would like to uh, I'd like to create the connection. That means I would like to connect to the database so that I can check if we are connected to the server or not. Okay, so in the load event I will declare the dbcon. We have initialized a new instance of MySQL connection with dbcon, but we haven't actually um said where the connection is. So we have to write new MySQL connection. So we are just actually declaring it again. So inside it we have to write data source, which is equal to localhost, then user ID is uh, equal to root, and password is equal to demo, and you will not actually require the port number, but I need, because I have two different instances running, so I'm giving the port number 3310, and then just select the database. database is, our name of the database is DB MySQL possibly. Okay, the name of the database is VB underscore MySQL. Uh, MySQL. Okay, so let's try connecting to it. Try db connection or dbcon dot. Let's just try to open it. If it is opened successfully, then it's good, but if it is not, so we are alerting ourselves. uh, Connection error, then we can actually php developer dot comes everywhere. Too many hints. Okay, ex dot message dot to string. Hopefully there will be no problem, we will be able to get connected. There was a build error. Yes, what kind of error was that? No. Okay, seems like the error is we have tried to initialize MySQL data reader, which we shouldn't have done. Okay, to initialize a MySQL data reader, we need some options. Okay, so it's not gonna work this way, so we have to remove the new. Okay, so the errors are gone. Now we are initializing our application and it is running without a hack. Okay, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna write the code for saving. Okay, so when we double click it, we get the click event of the button. Here we will be first writing our SQL, which is insert into underscore users. The fields are u underscore id, u underscore first name, u underscore last name, and the values are, first one is null, as this is just the primary key, will be auto incremented, and then we will use the value of the text field first name txt first name dot text, and then again txt last name dot text. Okay, so this is our SQL statement and it's done. So let's try catch. Okay, come on, I really get a short of it. Okay, so we are creating a new MySQL db command using the dbcom variable. Dbcom is equal to new MySQL command. So we have to say the first parameter is the SQL string that we want to execute, and the next parameter is the connection, which is dbcon. Okay, so we have the command. Now we will execute the command and we'll get the data in dbread. Dbcom dot execute reader. Okay, so it will be executed anyway. So after execution we can close the dbread. Dbread dot close. Okay, but if there is any kind of exception, so we just write fail to read data, fail to insert data. Reason could be ex.masses.toString. Okay. Okay, but if it works, for example, uh, there is no error, then that will mean that we have successfully uh, inserted the data in the database. So first check if it is working that way. Okay, so I'm putting a message box here too. Uh, Data inserted. Okay, so run the application, write one more Chakraborty and save it. Data inserted. Okay, so really testing if the data was actually inserted, we write our code in the get event. Okay, so we have a list box here. We haven't named it yet. It is time to name the list box. List box users. Okay, so whenever we click on get, we want to clear our list box. That items dot clear. Okay, this will clear the list box, and then we'll write our SQL. SQL is pretty simple. Just select star from underscore users. Okay, now try executing it. So the syntax is same again. dbcom is equal to new MySQL command, which takes the SQL first, then the DB connection on which you are working. Then we actually start reading by db read is equal to dbcom dot execute reader. Okay, so now we have to loop through the records we have received. So while db read dot read, uh, while db.read means as long as we are actually looping through the the result set we have just received by executing the query in the SQL variable. So dbRead is the result set holder, so we are looping through every record. So we loop as long as there is any data in dbRead. So what are you gonna do while we looping through? We are actually not going to do anything much. We are just going to add whatever we have received to the dbRead you first name ampersand space ampersand dbread dot in the bracket u underscore possibly u underscore last name dot to string is for safety. Sometimes we forget things. Okay, that's it. But okay, so this is it. We have already done it. Message box to alert ourselves is that uh, problem loading data caused possibly by ex.messages.toString. So what we are doing again, if we review it, we are first clearing the list box, which is this box where we want to show every data we get from the database. So we are clearing that field so that we can display the data we just got. Okay, then the SQL, which is very simple, very basic. Select a star from the table. Then we are trying to do some task. which is we are trying to create a new command, and then we are trying to create the command, execute the command, and getting the result set in dbread. Then we are looping through every result we have in the result set, which is dbread. So we are writing while dbread.read keep looping through, and inside the loop we are just adding item to the list box, which is dbread user's first name and last name. We are concatenating them with a space. Okay, so that's it. Let's run it. We have already entered a name in the last time, so we can get it first. Okay, a new name, John Mackay. Save it. Fail to insert data. There is already an open data reader associated with this connection, which must be closed first. Okay, that's a bug. How we created the bug? We haven't really closed the reader that we opened while trying to do this. So we should close the database reader that we created that was getting the result set while the command was executing. Okay, so now get John Mackay. Okay, it's the last name. Save data inserted, get John Mackay. Okay, I can't remember any more names, so just A and B. Save it, get it. Okay, so that's how you can connect your application to the MySQL server, which can also be in a remote server, but that's another thing. That's not easy this way to connect. Just the difference is the connection string and nothing else, so I will not call that difficult also. So that's it. That's how you are going to get yourself connected and getting yourself into work with MySQL. So that's it. That's how you connect your Visual Basic .NET application with MySQL Server. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you have liked it, so obviously share it and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.